everyone. My name is Jan-Erik Casey. I'm a partner at ISG in our research department. And it's really my privilege to be talking to Brian Murphy. He's VP and head of North America Cloud Center of Excellence at Capgemini. Hi, Ryan.
Hi, Jan. Thanks for having me.
So it's great, Ryan, to finally be having a chat because you and I have been talking about what we call the art of the possible for quite some time. And as we think about cloud, and what we've gone through this last year, it's really amazing what clients have done, but more amazing is what providers like you have been able to help them do. So what I thought we'd do is just talk through a couple of scenarios of what you've been able to do for your clients, what are some of the things you're telling them, and what are the things that are really making a difference as they consider what they should be doing going forward and truly creating that art of the possible.
Sure.
So, first, you just published a great article called The Art of the Possible, the CIO's Guide to Data Center Freedom. And in that, you talk about getting freedom doesn't always mean moving away from the data center to the cloud. In fact, you suggest that enterprises could possibly engage with a co-location provider who could continue supporting their on-premise applications. So what role can Capgemini play in moving the data center, managing that relationship with maybe a co-location provider, and maintaining the applications going forward?
Yeah, so the aim of the article, as you mentioned, was to present truly an art of the possible list of options that organizations could use to help them get out of the asset game, right? And so these scenarios might not all be applicable for every organization, but it kind of presents a menu of levers that can be used to drive transformation. So from the perspective of the question, what can Capgemini do as far as working with a colo? It's really the full suite, right? So strategy to assessment, migration, modernization of applications, and then full managed services. We can provide the infrastructure and application managed services and leverage a colo provider to handle the physical security and physical assets.
That's great. In case people don't know, you guys were actually identified in our 2020 private hybrid cloud as that being one of your strengths. So definitely, we agree with you that that's something you're doing unique for your clients. So in that article, you actually identified a number of challenges for enterprises who currently own and run their own data centers. Many of them, as we know, are out of date. Their total cost of operations is high due to the lack of synergy and consistency. The tendency is to always operate in a reactive mode, and not having a cloud strategy makes it very hard. So which of these challenges present the best opportunity or bang for their buck to solve? And can you give me a couple of examples of what you've been able to do in implementing this for your clients?
Yeah, sure. So I think it's dependent on every client specific situation. A lot of clients are looking at a data center lease term end date. Others are looking at heavy, cash asset refreshes, and others are just looking to leverage the cloud for more business agility and build new revenue streams. But where we typically see the best bang for your buck is in that area of technical debt. So organizations have, built out data centers. They put in infrastructure, even modern infrastructure, converged, hyper-converged infrastructure. All of that has a life to it. And once you start approaching that life, you're looking at a heavy asset refresh. And typically for most organizations, that's a 5-year period. So I think, from a bang for your buck perspective, getting out of that dependency on hardware and on real estate assets or leases with providers, provides a huge opportunity to get capital off your balance sheet and then reinvest those dollars into cloud services that can help future-proof your technology investment, as well as utilizing some native cloud services and other PaaS services to help rationalize some of your software expenditures. Start getting out of some of that heavy software license debt.
Right. It's interesting that you mentioned technical debt, because you and I have been in the industry for a long time, and that was never really a topic, but now it's really a topic. In fact, I've heard you and even many others talk about this transformation actually being able to be self-funded. So normally that turns out to be more theory than realistic, but you really have some great case studies that you presented to us where you've shown exactly how your clients have been able to leverage their savings and cost avoidance to truly make this happen. Can you give me a couple of examples where really you've been able to do that for the client?
Yeah, so we've been able to do this for a few of our customers, and the more scope that's involved, the more self-funding that happens. Because again, you're giving us more levers to be able to pull for cost savings. So some of it is pure green dollar cost savings from a cost takeout perspective. So think about avoiding a heavy asset, CapEx refresh of hardware, cost reductions for migrating workloads into a cloud that run cheaper than the existing environment right off the bat. There's also some aspects such as partner funding, being able to leverage the hyperscalers. They all have programs for incentive credits around assessment and migration, as well as large scale consumption discounts that can be partnered with maybe some of our reseller agreements, or we resell those. And then we also have additional discounts that can be provided towards the customer to reduce their cloud expenditures. And then you also have, the assets that they currently have, any assets that have book value left to them, that aren't fully amortized and aren't fully depreciated. They probably have value on the street. So we can go through a resale exercise and sell those on a secondary market to inject cash into the deal. And then you have operational savings. So if you start bringing in the run component, there's levers there from automation, standardization of operations, to really reduce the cost of your run. And then that transformation, any cost that's left over can be, amortized over the cost of a deal, utilizing run savings to offset that cost. And we've been able to do that for customers that have moved, thousands of workloads to the cloud and have been able to do it. If you look at it over a period of a 5-year deal, they've been able to do it on a cost neutral basis.
Yeah, that's amazing. And you've set me up perfectly for my next question when you mentioned the hyperscalers. So in a recent study that we published on public cloud, Capgemini was recognized as a leader in consulting and transformational services. And one of the key differentiators that we actually mentioned about you was your relationship with AWS and Microsoft, as well as a methodology you employ called EAPM. I really love this one because the definition of it really tells your client what it is you do. So it stands for Economic Application Portfolio Management. So that really is one of the differentiating factors. So you actually help your clients focus on the economics of taking a holistic view of their entire portfolio. Why do you think this approach is so effective and a differentiator for Capgemini?
I think a lot of customers struggle with knowing what they own, right? From a hardware perspective, from a software perspective, what application sits on what servers, how much resources is it utilizing, how cost is being, reflected to the business. And EAPM helps kind of put together a picture of that. The first part of that is a data gathering exercise where we really help them build out a CMDB, right? And then add in the application dependency pieces. So then we're looking at knowing exactly what hardware they have. We can look at them and point to exactly what their hardware and their software costs are, what applications are tied to what servers. And then from there, we start looking at what should be moved, what should be modernized, what should be retired. And we find that we can really decommission a lot of servers. On an average, I would say 15 to 20% of servers get decommissioned. We start looking at applications and seeing what could be utilized from a SaaS perspective, what can be retired, what's going to go well in a lift and shift, and then what can they really leverage and gain significant value from a run cost savings, or even a feature functionality perspective through application modernization. And then we can if we can pull together a full business case for them from an economic perspective, plus from functionally start planning out their migration and modernization waves and really show them what the entire end-to-end cloud journey can look like for them.
Yeah, you really hint at, though, big change management. So when you talk about the art of possible, you actually identify the shift in your enterprise clients from run the business to grow the business. So what have you seen has been the most effective way to enable such a significant change management task within your clients' organizations? What is it that you do to help them recognize that this is going to be a change?
So that's always the hardest part is making sure that you don't bite too much off at one time. So you really have to understand your customer's appetite and ability to implement change. You have to understand the skill sets that they currently have in-house, their ability to track new skill sets as you start to modernize applications and environments and infrastructure, and be able to plan with them so that it doesn't impact the business. The biggest thing is we want to do no harm, right? From a run perspective, you don't want it to impact the operations of the day-to-day business. It has to not only save them money, but it also has to enhance the value that IT delivers to their business unit. So we really need to make sure that transformation is planned and phased in a way that it's easily digestible by the client organization.
That's great. Really, Ryan, what I've seen in looking at what your capabilities are is that there's really nothing to lose. What I encourage clients to do is just to sit down and have a conversation with you. As we've had those same conversations, I was surprised at how easy it is to think about change and what some change will do to your organization from a cost perspective, but as well as a capability perspective. I think often people think it's bigger and more complicated than it is. And I'm not saying that it's easy, but the first easy step is to have a conversation. So I'd encourage everyone listening to us today to really take that next step and just have a conversation, understand what it is you guys are doing that's different, how you're working with your clients in a more effective way, and how you've been able to make that change management happen. So thanks for your time today. It was great to talk to you again.
Absolutely. You as well. Thank you very much.